This video is brought to you by MOFT. Today I am super excited to be unboxing the brand new iPhone 15 Pro here in this beautiful natural titanium color, which I've got to say is my favorite color of the year. Now the 15 Pro brings some pretty big upgrades. First, we get a new customizable action button. We also get big improvements to both the camera as well as the performance, and some neat refinements to the design, both in the frame as well as the display. And then finally, we also of course get USB-C for the first time on an iPhone. Now, today I'm going to talk about everything that's new with the 15 Pro in detail. We're also going to take a look at what's in the box, and I'm also going to do a brief comparison to last year's iPhone 14 Pro as well as the larger iPhone 15 Pro Max, a phone I've been using for the past couple of days, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So curious to see how these two compare in terms of size, especially if you are choosing between the two. And then most importantly, finally, I'm also going to be answering the question of whether the iPhone 15 Pro is worth the upgrade if you are looking to upgrade. Because the question will be, do you go for the now slightly more affordable iPhone 14 Pro, or will it be worth spending that extra cash and getting the 15 Pro instead? So let's go ahead and unbox and find out. But first, to celebrate the growth of this channel and as a way to thank you for all of your incredible support, I am doing a giveaway on this brand new iPhone 15 Pro, this time in blue. So if you do want a chance to win, be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, and also comment your favorite feature of the iPhone 15 Pro along with your Instagram username, and then follow me on Instagram at Dion Schuddeboom, where I will announce the winner on the 31st of October. Okay, let's unbox. So the iPhone 15 Pro starts at $999 or 999 pounds, which is the same in the US, but actually slightly cheaper here in the UK, which is always great. And then we also still get 128 gigabytes as the starting storage. Now, I do think this is enough for most, but it would have been nice to see 256 gigabytes as the base storage as on the larger 15 Pro Max. But anyway, guys, I've just lifted the box, and here it is. This is the beautiful iPhone 15 Pro in this titanium finish, and it looks so good. I really like this color. When I initially saw this online, I wasn't sure as to how warm or how cold it would be, whether it be more close to like silver or gold, but I think the natural titanium finish sort of perfectly sits in between. Also, by the way, if you are picking between colors and not sure whether to go for a lighter color or for a darker color, one thing to bear in mind is the durability aspect, as of course this color here uses the natural titanium, so therefore there is no finishing on the frame. So if you get any chips or scratches over time, they won't show as much on the natural titanium color as say on the darker color, the black or the blue, as of course that paint is eventually going to wear over time, and then the natural lighter color of the titanium will come through. So in terms of durability, in terms of keeping your phone looking new, I would go for the lighter titanium color. So let's go ahead and briefly put the phone off to the side here and see what else is included. So we get the usual design by Apple in California. I still get the SIM tool here, as in the UK we still use physical SIM cards, and then we also get the warranty info and a single Apple sticker. I wish this would have been in titanium color, that would have been cool. And then of course finally we get the USB-C cable. Now I'll talk more about the importance of USB-C on the iPhone, as this really is a pretty big deal for the iPhone line, and I think also for the longevity of this phone and the functionality. But it's great to have that cable included. And here we go, back to the 15 Pro. Now the moment of truth, let's go ahead and peel off the screen protector here. Love doing that, always. There we go. So let's go ahead and boot up the phone here. We'll press and hold the side button here and watch it come to life. Now let's talk about what's new with the 15 Pro. So first, of course, is that grade 5 titanium finish that we talked about earlier. And this is not only lighter, but also stronger compared to the previous stainless steel that we saw on the 15 Pros. And I gotta say, this difference in weight is really apparent. And we'll do a brief side-by-side later, but just off my first impressions from holding the 15 Pro, it definitely feels lighter than the previous 14 Pro, and I think that's really nice, especially for a phone of this size. It just makes it all the more portable and easy to hold in your hand for, say, extended periods of time. And then on the back, we still get that matte glass finish, which not only looks great, it also feels great to the touch and does a great job at resisting fingerprints. So this means your phone will stay looking new for long, which is always a plus. And my favorite design feature, actually, aside from that titanium frame, is the fact that the edges around the frame are now slightly curved. So they're a little bit contoured. So the edge of the frame is still flat, but when you go to the corners of the frame, and I'll do my best to pick this up on camera, they are slightly curved. And again, we'll compare in a sec how that looks to the 14 Pro, but it really creates a much more comfortable feel in the hand, where you don't get that sharp digging feel in your palm that would sometimes happen with last year's 14 Pros, especially if you're holding it for a longer time, particularly here right in the palm. But this feels much more comfortable and ergonomic to hold in the hand, and already just from holding the phone, this is a really welcome change. Now, speaking of the edges, this right here is where we'll find the new action button. So this of course is going to replace the traditional mute switch, which honestly I rarely use anyway. I have my phone in silent most of the time, as I have my notifications on my Apple Watch and I don't want it to ding and like have, be loud in the room. So having this button instead be a customizable button, I think is a huge upgrade. So you can set it to open your camera, to start a shortcut, or even have activate things like the torch. So very simple, but I think this is a great change, and it's kind of a shame that they didn't bring this to the regular 15, as already I've been using it briefly on the 15 Pro Max and I'm really enjoying it so far. So hopefully this will come to the entire iPhone lineup soon. In fact, if you ask me, I would say add another action button on the other side. I like having physical buttons, especially ones that can be customized. And then on the bottom, we have that USB-C port right there. Now, this is of course going to be replacing Lightning on all iPhones, so not just the Pros. And this is a change that I'm really happy to see, as this essentially means it is a universal port, and that will mean you can use any charger, or basically one charger for all of your devices. So you don't have to carry a USB-C charger for 90% of your tech, and then that one Lightning cable for your iPhone. Instead, just bring that USB-C cable and brick, and you can charge everything. And then flipping over to the front, to the displays, we still have the same 6.1 inch and 6.7 inch sizes for the 15 Pro Max, but the bezels are now noticeably thinner, and we'll do a comparison in a bit, but I do immediately see that difference, and that just allows for the phone to be slightly smaller without compromising on the display size. And just from a looks perspective, I think it makes the phone look and feel more modern, so that's always a plus. And then the glass covering the display is Apple's new ceramic shield, which is their toughest glass ever, which in my experience is quite crack resistant, which is really great, but it definitely does scratch. So I do recommend you get a screen protector, and I'll be sure to leave my recommended screen protector down in the description. On the back, we now get a improved 48 megapixel main sensor. So this will produce now sharper 24 megapixel photos, and we also get that 3x telephoto, as unfortunately the 5x telephoto is exclusive to the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Would have loved to see it on the Pro here as well, but 3x I think is still great and is useful for when you want that extra reach. We also now get better low light photography, and like on the regular 15, we now also have focus and depth control after being able to take the photo, essentially turning any photo into a portrait photo if it detects a human or say a pet. So this gives you more options in editing, which is always great to see. And then powering the iPhone 15 Pros is Apple's A17 Pro chip. Now this is the first time we get the word Pro with that chip, so this of course is exclusive to the Pro line, as the regular 15s featured last year's A16 chip. So this should make the phone last even longer and give you even more headroom when it comes to the performance. Now, another cool feature of the new Pros is that this time, for the first time ever on the Pro models, the back glass is much more easy to repair, as it can be replaced without first having to remove everything else of the phone, including the frame and everything that's inside. So this means that the back can be replaced more easily and also at a lower cost. Before we take a closer look at the iPhone 14 Pro, as well as do a brief comparison to last year's 14 Pro and also the larger 15 Pro Max, let me show you some accessories from MOFT that let you do more with your iPhone. Starting with the Movaz vegan leather case. Now this is the perfect alternative to Apple's now discontinued leather case, and actually this Movaz material outperforms genuine leather, both in stretch as well as abrasion resistance, meaning it will last longer and also cost less. Made of the same durable Movaz material is the Invisible Phone Tripod Stand. Now, this is the smallest of its kind. It is slim, and it is a versatile tool that can be quickly attached using MagSafe, and it's also super quick to unfold. With just one motion, you can then rotate your phone and instantly prop it up in either landscape or portrait mode, and it can be set up in up to 3 modes. There's the floating mode, the stand, and vlogging mode. Personally, I use the floating mode most. It is so nice to have my phone set up next to my computer to keep an eye on notifications or do any video calls, and it can so easily also rotate it in landscape mode for content creation, allowing me to film in new angles that are otherwise not possible. And then for daily commutes, the MagSafe phone stand and wallet holds multiple cards and can also be folded out to prop up your phone as a stand. Going back to the Movaz case, you can also instantly add this stylish lanyard, and as phones are only getting bigger and also more expensive, it is reassuring to have the added grip and convenience and easy access to your phone at all times. All these accessories come in a wide range of colors, and here I have the white Misty Cove version, which I think looks super clean, and will also stay that way thanks to special treatments so they will not discolor over time. Together, these accessories add functionality to your iPhone, and to learn more, be sure to click the links in the description and use code DION10 for 10% off your order. Okay, let's do a brief design comparison between the new 15 Pro and last year's 14 Pro. Now, the biggest difference, of course, lies in the frame, where we now go from that super shiny stainless steel, you can see the reflections there, to the matte titanium finish. It's almost got this brushed look to it, and I really like the titanium. Again, it is lighter and also stronger compared to stainless steel, so I see that as a win-win. And it does also add that slight contour in the edges here, and this will be difficult to pick up on frame, but you can see that while they are still both flat on the edges, if you look at the corners of the frame, one is significantly sharper here, the 14 Pro, compared to the 15 Pro. And I can tell you that in the hand, you really feel that difference, making the 15 Pro a lot more comfortable, as well as the weight, by the way. I really feel that. So it should only be, I believe, around 10% difference, which on paper doesn't sound like a lot, but I can tell you in practice, it really makes a big difference and makes what was previously, I would say, the 14 Pro as a pretty dense phone to a much more average weight feeling phone, while still not compromising on that quality feel, again, thanks to that matte finish on the back and then that new titanium frame going around. I want to do a brief comparison here of the dimensions. So just based on the feel in the hand here, I can tell that the 15 Pro is ever so slightly more narrow. It is also ever so slightly shorter compared to the 15 Pro, the 14 Pro, I mean, so many pros. And that is, of course, thanks to having thinner bezels. And you can see that difference here as I hold them up to the camera. It's a pretty substantial difference. And again, allows for the same size display in a smaller size phone, overall creating a smaller package really, which is great in the hand when you also contribute or add it to that lighter weight. Again, it really creates a phone that is just so comfortable to hold. Now, in terms of the processors inside these phones, the iPhone 15 Pro, as mentioned, has the new A17 Pro, where the 14 Pro has last year's A16. Now, in my experience, Apple tends to support their devices for a very long time in terms of software updates and security updates, which is great. So I would expect anywhere from around 7 years on the 15 Pro versus around 6 years on the 14 Pro. So that is something to consider if you're picking between these two, but both will perform super well today and still for many years to come. Now, in terms of the battery life, Apple say they both get the same 20 hours of video playback, which for me in the 14 Pro has translated to around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time, which is good battery life, especially for a phone this size, and does mean it can last all day. In terms of charging, the iPhone 14 Pro and 15 Pro are the same at supporting both up to 27 watts of charging, which I wouldn't describe as fast charging, but more like semi-fast charging. I would love to see something like 35 or even 40 watts brought to the iPhone. That said, because the battery life is good and you do get all-day battery life, I charge my phone mostly just at night, which is when, well, charging speed doesn't matter as much. And here, while we are looking at the bottom, you can see the difference between that Lightning port and that USB-C port. Of course, USB-C is ever so slightly larger, but I do think that this is a big factor to consider if you are picking between these two, as I do think that having USB-C on the 15 Pro will go a long way into future-proofing that phone, as right now it may mean having to replace certain chargers or accessories as you probably used to Lightning, but in the future, having USB-C will be a big plus. Plus, the USB-C port on the 15 Pro can now also charge your AirPods as well as the Apple Watch, which I think is pretty cool. Apple have also updated the AirPods Pro to now have a USB-C port. So again, really speaking to the fact that USB-C is the future and Lightning will be fading as the years go. Now be sure to subscribe and stay tuned to not miss my full comparison between the 14 Pro and the 15 Pro to test things like the battery life in a real world setting, also the camera, and of course the performance. So I have a much more in-depth full comparison coming soon. But here today, I just wanted to give you a more of a physical and a dimensions comparison between the two, where again, I think the 15 Pro is a much more comfortable phone to use and hold thanks to that rounded edges on the frame and then the lighter design as a whole. And again, the future proofing of that USB-C port. Now, let's also compare to the larger iPhone 15 Pro Max. So here we have them all side by side. In fact, let me remove the 14 Pro. Now here is the size difference. Now again, on the display, we're going from 6.1 inches to 6.7 inches. Now what is cool is that the 15 Pro Max does now have double the starting storage of 256 gigabytes, which I do think that for a Pro phone, especially one that you are paying this much for, again now $1,199, so a $200 price difference between the two, it is good to have double the storage, and I would have liked to see this on the 15 Pro, even though I do still think that 128 will probably be fine for most, as long as you don't primarily use your phone for content creation like I do. But of course, the biggest difference between the regular 15 Pro and the larger 15 Pro Max is in the display size and the battery size, as well as we get the same chip and the camera mostly the same inside, where again, you do only get that 5x telephoto on the 15 Pro, but otherwise we get the same main sensor as well. And I would say if you are picking between the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max well, the 15 Pro Max is a big phone, but I do find that most people, including myself, do get used to it over time. But there is also no denying, especially holding it now, that the regular size 15 Pro is that perfect balance between portability and usability. I would say really if you're primarily going to use your phone for content creation and content consumption, there is something to be said for the largest display and battery on the 15 Pro Max. But if portability is a big factor to you and you don't have to worry about compromising on battery life, as the battery even on the regular 15 Pro still really quite good, I think the 15 Pro will be an excellent choice for many. That said, if you are thinking of getting your first Pro Max phone, this is probably going to be the best time to do so, as again, we have those same rounded edges also on the 15 Pro Max and that larger titanium design, which means this larger phone feels just a little bit less large than before. Back to the 15 Pro, it clearly brings a lot to the table, as it should for this price. The question is, if you are currently on, say, an iPhone 8, 10, 11, or even a 12, and are looking to get your first Pro phone, do you go for that 15 Pro, or do you save a bit of cash and get last year's 14 Pro instead? Now, based on my initial impressions and what I'm seeing so far, and having tested the 15 Pro Max for a couple of days now, I think that the 15 Pro brings more than enough to the table compared to last year's 14 Pro, where I do believe it will be worth spending that little bit extra and jumping up to the 15 Pro instead of the 14 Pro for most people, as again, the extra features that it brings, both in the display, performance, cameras, the design, and also of course that USB-C port, make it worth investing in, and this will be a phone that will last for many years to come. Anyway guys, I can't wait to start using this phone in my day-to-day. Let me know if you have any questions at all, and be sure to stay tuned for my full review video coming very soon. Also comparison videos to the last year's 14 Pro and the regular 15 series to see how these compare, and also of course the Galaxy side of things. I'm really excited to see what the cameras, performance, battery, how these compare in detail, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And if you have any suggestions or requests for my upcoming reviews or comparison videos on points to touch on or cover, please let me know in the comments. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll leave all the purchase links down in the description, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.